Can I get a roll call, please?
Haney?
Here.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Here.
Mrs. Deli?
Here.
Ms. Dewell Malafite is not here. Mrs. Simmons?
Here.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Here.
Mrs. Riddy?
Here.
Mrs. Zilbari is not here. Mr. D'Agostino?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Would you please join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Sussex-Wantage Regional School District Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the school building and notice of said meeting sent to the New Jersey Herald and the Star Ledger.
The Sussex-Wantage Regional School District is a responsive, caring, child-centered community. Our mission is to educate each individual to become a confident, competent, lifelong learner and productive, responsible citizen by providing challenging opportunities in a safe environment through a partnership of families, schools, and community.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitty. At this time, we will move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. I'd like to invite Mr. Schwartz up to the podium to present this month's Student of the Month.
Good evening, Mr. Gall, Mr. D'Agostino, members of our Board of Education, and members in our audience tonight. It is with great pride that I stand before you tonight to present the Students of the Month. Every month, I have the pleasure of meeting with each of these individuals and gaining insight into their hobbies and extracurricular activities. Each of these students tonight have been highly recommended by their teachers. And as I introduce each student, I will provide a brief snapshot of the wonderful accolades that have helped them earn the Student of the Month. In 6th grade this month, the recipient is Ryan Levansky. When I sat with Ryan, he told me that his favorite class was PE. Ryan enjoys being active with his friends and the games that they are all able to participate in during class. Outside of school, Ryan can be found playing basketball or on the baseball field. He has always enjoyed being an athlete and looks to pursue avenues possible with his athleticism in the future. Ryan's teacher stated the following in recommending him for Student of the Month. Ryan is a fun and pleasant student who is very hard worker. He goes above and beyond in completing his work, and we are very proud. Ryan is obviously an excellent student who is having an outstanding year. While he has many different interests and hobbies, he is hopeful that his classes and experiences moving forward will help him select a career path. We have high hopes for what the future holds for this young man. It is with great pride that I introduce everyone to Ryan Levansky.
It was last minute, I'm not gonna lie.
In 7th grade this month, the recipient is Mackenzie Zollinger. Mackenzie's teacher stated the following when nominating her. Mackenzie is a positive, polite, and happy young lady. She is a ray of sunshine in all of her classes, always wearing a big smile which brightens both her teachers' and classmates' days. When Mackenzie walks into a class, she is quick to say hello and share thoughts about her day with her teachers. In addition, Mackenzie is an outstanding math student where she can be found assisting her classmates with some of the more challenging content that they explore. Mackenzie's positive attitude and great work ethic will continue to lead her to success as the year progresses. Outside of SMS, Mackenzie is an active horseback rider. She has been riding since she was 5 years old and hopes to have a career as a show jumper someday. Other than horseback riding, Mackenzie keeps busy with soccer, softball, dance, taekwondo, band, and Girl Scouts. We are all excited to see what Mackenzie will accomplish moving ahead. It is with great pride that I introduce Mackenzie as a 7th grade student. In eighth grade this month, the recipient is Brady Patry. When I sat with Brady, he told me that his favorite class was PE. For as long as he can remember, Brady has always enjoyed being able to have fun with his friends in his class. When asked what career path he might be interested in when he gets older, Brady indicated that he would like to become an electrician. He will be pursuing this career path at Tech next year and looks forward to all of the opportunities he will have. Brady's teacher stated the following: Brady is a friendly, bright, and conscientious student who participates in class and works hard, always to the best of his ability. He is independent, works well with others, and is a self-motivated student who is a great example for the peers around him. He readily grasps new concepts and ideas and always exceeds expectations. As we say goodbye to Brady at the end of the year, I can say that his skill set and attitude will continue to lead him to success in high school and beyond. And we all look forward to seeing his achievements along the way. It's with great pride that I introduce Brady as the 8th grade student.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz, and congratulations again to all of our recipients. Great job. We always encourage everyone to stay for the duration of the meeting. If you didn't want to, now would be the opportune time to leave and take a little brief intermission.
Thanks, have a great night.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. States for you.
Thank you. Just to report out on a few items in between the past meeting last month and this meeting. Policy committee met. We did some brainstorming on ways to enhance the cell phone policy that we implemented and our dress code policy. We had an ad hoc pre-K expansion grant committee meeting just before this meeting, led by Mrs. Cicchini, which we brainstormed our opportunity to apply for pre-K expansion funding. And I made the committee aware that yesterday I had a meeting with a lady named Pam Berlante, who's out of Rutgers, and the state kind of contracts with Rutgers to help facilitate the grant writing process. She's spearheaded grants in a number of neighboring districts, definitely Stillwater, Franklin, I believe Andover. So she agreed to work with us, which is a very good thing, and hopefully we'll have some more information to update you on after next week, so the next board meeting. But that is an area that we're passionate about pursuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Groenfelder up. We have a short presentation about finances that he brought to us as an idea, first to myself and then to myself, Mr. Gall, Mrs. Woody, and now to Mrs. Reichler, the board. If you want to come up and
Thank
do
you,
your thing.
President. Thanks. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. D'Agostino. I'm not sure if the members of your Board of Education are aware of the fact that we actually met by accident. Maybe you can tell them that story. There are some privileges that come with age, and there are some, unfortunately, that don't. I just received a certified letter from the U.S. Department of Education, Secretary of Education. Opened it up, and it said, "Dear Mr. Grunfelder, we see that you currently have 4 degrees. Unfortunately, we have to inform you that your degrees are so old, you may no longer spell them with capital letters." I'd like to take a moment to introduce Mrs. Bailey Mallon. She is a representative of the Government Banking Division at J.P. Morgan. And that's her specialty. So while I can present the overview and answer a lot of your questions, when it gets down into the nitty-gritty details, I'm going to ask Bailey if she wouldn't help clarify them for me. So what is cash management? Take surplus cash and use it in order to generate interest. And in the private sector, that's usually the function of what is called corporate treasurer. There is no such position in school districts, certainly in the state of New Jersey. But it is considered to be one of the prime functions of the corporation. It's the corporate treasurer is a C-level officer of a corporation, sits in on board of directors meetings. So there's an awful lot of emphasis that's placed on the treasury function. And here's an example. You've all heard of ADP, and I'll bet you did not know that ADP derived the majority of its corporate profits by investing funds which were collected but not required to be remitted. They would receive payroll taxes on the 15th of the month, and they would invest them until they had to be sent to the various agencies. So you can imagine the amount of money that they would make on what I guess I would call the float. Can't do that today because the remittance dates and the remittance requirements have been tightened up. So I believe either on the same day or the day after you make the payroll deduction, those monies have to be transmitted to the appropriate agency. As sitting members of the public board, and I am one as well, it's probably the worst situation that you can face, and you face it once a year, every year, and that is whether or not you have to raise taxes. On one side, you are held by law to provide what's called a thorough and efficient education. On the other hand, that state aid has been decreasing over the past few years, and that kind of puts you in a very, very difficult position. I know because last year we had to give the state back $1.9 million. So it's a very difficult decision. I don't anticipate that that situation is going to improve in the foreseeable future. That's why I think cash management becomes valuable, if not mandatory. As I'm sure most, if not all of you know, we're currently in a rising rate environment. And the latest information from the Federal Reserve is that they're going to continue to raise interest rates at least a couple of more times this year. The prime rate, which is the rate at which the most creditworthy borrowers can borrow funds from the Fed, currently stands at 7.75%. Probably the highest it's been in the last 18 to 20 years. As I said, in a private corporation, the function of cash management is usually assigned to the corporate treasurer. And that's a number of highly trained analysts, and the calculations that are used can be extremely complex. There are at least 10 different money market instruments, and the trick of choosing between and among these instruments in different interest rate environments involves complicated calculations. Those calculations are completed at least on a daily basis, if not more frequently. And I'm sorry to say that that particular process is extremely sophisticated, and I have to say, I think it's beyond both the reach and the time of any business administrator in the state. My knowledge comes from graduate work that I completed at NYU. It was a 2-semester course focusing on the intersection of interest rates and the various money market instruments. We learned to use optimization theory, and we applied the simplex algorithm. Unfortunately for me, this was before the age of computers, so all the calculations that I did by hand. Now, I was recruited by the state of New Jersey to take over the Eastern Orange Board of Education from a fiscal point of view. And I found the value of a good cash management program when I was in East Orange. I set up what is called an overnight cash sweep into a repurchase agreement. And I did this through one of the money center banks in New York. By doing this, I was able to generate over $1.2 million in miscellaneous unanticipated revenue, which helped tremendously because I was fighting against an $8.4 million deficit. So every night at 5 o'clock, each one of my accounts, payroll, general account, trust and agency, student activity funds, whatever accounts I had were automatically swept into a concentration account. That simply means that they were added together into one lump sum. And then the next day at 6 a.m., those funds were returned in the same way. The only difference is they came back with interest accrued. Now, I just thought that everyone did that because I was working with the state of New Jersey. They saw what I was doing. They saw that it made some sense, but they failed to pick up on it. So that's one of the reasons why I try to go from district to district to explain this program and to introduce members of boards of education to it. So a few questions that would come up if I were, a board member here. I'd like to know how much money this program could possibly mean to the district, and I'm telling you here conservatively that you could generate between $300,000 and $350,000 per year. Depends upon the size of your budget, depends upon the interest rate, and it also depends upon the pattern of cash flows that you have. Is it legal? The answer is yes. Although there are conditions, and they're very reasonable conditions. The program has to be operated through a financial institution, which has been GUDPA approved. GUDPA is the Government Unit Deposit Protection Act. And it was passed, I think, maybe 20 years ago, because there have been some municipalities that have actually gone bankrupt because the treasurer tried to play the interest rate market with very risky derivatives and so on and so forth. This is money that we cannot take a risk with. So what can we invest in? In your packets, you have a copy of Senate Bill 871, which was sponsored by Senator Sweeney. And that goes over the different money market instruments that you are allowed to invest in. I don't know if it's mentioned there, but you can also invest in bond issues of other political subdivisions in the state of New Jersey. What can we invest in? My recommendation right now would be reinvesting in a repurchase agreement, because right now that is probably the safest instrument on the market. Reason being that it is fully collateralized, meaning that if the bank becomes illiquid and cannot return the money that you invested, you have direct access and title to the underlying collateral so that you can make yourselves whole within not much longer than 5 minutes. Why can't our business administrator establish this and monitor it? Well, I was a BA, and I was also a deputy superintendent for operations and finance. And I'm not saying that your business administrator could not do it, but I sincerely doubt that she would have the time to do it. I remember when I was working in East Orange, I used to have this joke with my superintendent. I used to say to him, so my job description is whatever lands on your desk and you either don't know what to do with it, or don't want to do anything with it, it comes to me. And that's just increased and increased and increased over the past few years. I haven't been in the business for quite a while. But I really wouldn't want to be in that business today because there's more work, more reports. The auditor, I'll bet you didn't know this, the audit protocol in the state of New Jersey is 246 pages long. Those are all the different items, different calculations, and different measurements that your auditor has to apply for your books and records. So going on, if you wanted to get started, how can we help you? We will develop an investment policy statement for your review. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if your policy manual did not already contain an investment policy statement. I know ours did in HOPATCOM, but it was never followed. We'll prepare and circulate the RFP. I'm sure you're aware that banking services are considered professional services and are not subject to the public school contracts law, so they don't have to be bid. But the RFP allows for competition, and the competition that's generated, hopefully, will give us the best deal on the market. I would definitely bring the representatives from the successful respondent to appear before you to give you their presentation and to answer any questions that you might have. And in conjunction with your attorney, we would then prepare a contract for the Board of Education to review. We'd meet with your chief financial officer and your treasurer of school monies to establish the reporting systems for this program. And we'll meet with all involved personnel on a quarterly basis or as needed. And this would include a monthly report to the Board of Education. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I will try and answer any questions that you might have, but I wonder if I could work out a deal where I could come to these board meetings instead of my own, because these seem to be so much more pleasant. So any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Grunfelder, for coming and taking the time, and this is, how do you say it, Alan, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go. All right, so there's no questions. Thank you for presenting. At this time, we will move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. Does anybody have any audience remarks?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this actually.
Hi, good evening. My name's Barbara Goldstein, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Gunters. I am a friend of Michelle's and have been known Michelle since 2007. She called me about a month ago, contacted me out of concern regarding bus stop. I've been driving a bus in the county and in Morris County for 20 years. So I'm like, all right, let me go look at the bus stop. I went and looked at the bus stop. It's ridiculous. The bus stop is unsafe, whether you're sitting in a car or you're standing at the bus stop. The distance from the driveway to the bus stop, not an issue. It's the safety of the environment. There's no shoulder. There's trucks that fly at the speed limit of 50 miles an hour on the road. When you're sitting at Mount Salem Road to Greenville Road, you are sitting in an illegal spot because you're supposed to be 20 feet away from the stop sign at any time, anywhere you're waiting at a bus stop or any other stop sign and you're parked. You can't sit that far back because you would be literally in the middle of the road. If you've been on Mount Salem Road, then you know that the narrow entrance really barely supports two vehicles. So now you're blocking a lane of traffic because there's no shoulder for her to sit on. Look, I take student safety seriously. I have several things written down here. But as I talked with Mrs. Gunther about this, and she's explained to me what's happened since August to now, I understand that there's a recent transaction between the bus companies that may change things. You can drive down Mount Salem Road, go to Carpenter Road, make a left, come back out onto Greenville Road from Hardscrabble Road and come right past her driveway. It is literally less than 3 miles. You are not obligated to stay in the contract if the company can't provide the service for the contract. I'm not sure why the district didn't try to do something more. It's really unsafe. The other things I wanted to point out regarding the bus stop, regarding the situation is, I've seen the emails that were from August 23rd and 24th, where it was very clearly stated, we will not be providing a bus. We do not have a bus that goes up through there anymore. And I don't know, 1986, 87, that we lived on Gemmer Road. The only thing that's changed about any of those roads out there is the number of houses have increased. They just built their forever home. They already lived here, the kids were already going to school here, and they chose to build a home in your district and pay more property taxes. So why would the door be closed as soon as the question was asked? We need to change the stop. Why can't we have a stop at our driveway? Sussex-Wantage is known for rural route stops, door stops. Almost every district in this county provides rural door stops on these roads, especially the 50-mile-an-hour roads. Even in Morristown, where I work, we do door stops on dangerous intersections. We do door stops on Strasser Road that are out in Mendham, that go out towards Mendham Home. So I came tonight to really try to give a professional lens on this, because they're distraught. The children are distraught. Michelle's upset. Becky's upset. And they love your school district. So as a driver of 20 years who gets up in that bus every single day and goes and picks up students, I cannot tell you how unsafe this stop would be. And I would refuse to do it. I would say, look, if I was sitting in that driver's seat, I would go to my boss and I would persistently and provide data. This is not a safe stop. And I've heard, Becky shared with me that there were some comments about, well, other kids have to walk. This isn't about walking. This is a 50-mile-an-hour road. This intersection is not big enough for a car to sit in it safely. And frankly, I was hoping last board meeting you would say there was a resolution, that there's been something fixed. I was hoping before tonight you would say something that there's been a fix. The situation definitely needs to be remedied because it's a liability on your district. And it's part of every board member's due diligence to take every parent's concern seriously. If it was, I guarantee you wouldn't, nobody in this room, if they went and walked from their driveway to that bus stop, they would never let their child walk. And if they went and sat there for a couple of days a week at the bus stop, waiting for the bus, almost being rear-ended as people come flying up Mount Salem Road because everybody's in a hurry, you would understand why they just want the bus stop changed. And what, for the life of me, I can't figure out is why it hasn't been. It's so easy. You could go up, like I said, some Hardscrabble. You could go up and do a turnaround. You could loop it. You have a bus on 284 that goes into Unionville and turns around. So I'm just going to ask, and hopefully within the next couple of days, I'm gonna hear that there's been a change in this bus stop. Because the next thing is I'm gonna help her file a complaint, if that's what has to take. I will personally help her do this, whether it goes to the county commissioner and then to Trenton. But I can't in good conscience ignore someone who's been my friend for the better part of 12, 15 years and supported me in my town, who reached out to me because of my professional expertise as a school bus driver. So I thank you for listening tonight. I appreciate your attention to my comments, and I hope that we see some resolution coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Are there any other audience remarks?
Actually, yes. My name is Melissa Henderson, and I'm a bus driver, 24 years, and up until September of last year, was in Sussex-Wantage. I had that run and everything, and I am the bus driver that almost got rear-ended at a stop on Greenville Road by a tractor trailer, scared the daylights out of me. I had kids on the bus. Because those trucks, they don't care. They're in a rush. Which, hey, okay, but you know what? You gotta think of other people. You know, cars and everything. Years ago, when I used to do a different run, I used to go down, pass their driveway, and just across the line. And I did a turnaround there. To turn around to come back up Greenville Road to take and pick up children on that end of the road. That stop where it is now, at the end of Mount Salem and Greenville Road? No way. And as she said, if I was the driver, it wouldn't be happening. Because it's our job to make sure our children that we're picking up and dropping off are safe. And that is definitely not a safe. I've been doing it for 24 years and in this district. And I am just very disappointed that it has not been corrected and they're not getting picked up at their driveway because there's no reason that it can't be done. So I hope that, again, with Craft, they would be better than Havens. I worked for Havens, so I know. And with the driver they have is another story, but besides, that's not. That the Craft will agree and they will send a bus down there just as well, and that you guys will approve of that. Because like she said, you know, Barbara had said, if not, there's gonna be a liability on you guys. And I don't think you want that. I don't wanna see that happen either. This is a great district. I have a grandson in this district. My kid went to this district. I miss being here driving bus. I'm hoping to be back. Cause I miss it. I'm in Sparta. Hate it. Hate it. So I appreciate your time and, you know, I hope for the sake of the children, please, I'm asking you, as a bus driver. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other audience remarks? Seeing none, we will move on to the board secretary certification, please.
Pursuant to NJAC 6A 23A-16.10C3, I certify that as of January 31st, 2023, no line item account has encumbrances and expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation in violation of NJAC 6A 23A-16.10A.
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. At this time, we will move on to the approval of board minutes for January 5th, 2023, our reorganizational meeting, and January 26th, 2023, regular and executive session. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the board minutes approval? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Delay?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. No executive session. Go ahead. We have no need for executive session on agenda items, so we'll move on to the presentation of agenda items, please.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 16, pulling number 7 and number 15.
Looking for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion on personnel? Roll call, please.
Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Rotarella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Under policy, I'd like to move items number 1 and 2.
Looking for a motion for policy.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli? Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Under finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 11.
Looking for a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on finance? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Abstain on finance number 2, check number 43987, and yes to this.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Under special services, I'd like to move items 1 through 10.
Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on special services? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Under curriculum, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
All motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on curriculum? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Referring to the addendum under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 7.
Looking for a motion, please.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Any discussion on personnel on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
On the addendum under policy, I'd like to move items 1 and 2.
Looking for a motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on policy? on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And referring to the addendum under finance, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
You looking for a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on finance? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Referring to the addendum under special services, I'd like to move items 1 through 3.
And looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on special services on the addendum? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Deli?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad?
Yes.
Mrs. Chikini?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Tortorella?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, at this time, we will move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business the board would like to discuss? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business the board would like to discuss? All right, seeing none, we will move on to audience remarks. Again, members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. Are there any other audience remarks? Seeing none, we will going to go into the executive session on non-agenda items. No action will be taken. Will be approximately 15 minutes. Can I get a resolution, please, Mrs. Wright?
Whereas pursuant to NJSA 10-4-12B, the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education will exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting at which the board discusses any of the matters described at NJSA 10-4-12B 1 through 9. Now therefore be resolved that the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education shall enter into closed session to discuss personnel and legal matters. Now therefore be it further resolved by the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education that pursuant to NJSA 10-4-13B, the time when and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public is when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
You're looking for a motion to enter executive session?
On the motion.
You're looking for a second?
Awesome.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstained? We'll see you all in about 15-20 minutes. to adjourn, please.
I'll motion.
Looking for a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.